This specific draft video has a special place in my heart, as this video in 2023 is the second highest viewed video on my channel. So let's get into the 2025 version, shall we? Lots of sleepers I have on this list, and overall this running back class has a lot of fantastic prospects. So let's get right into this. Who is the best running back in the 2025 NFL draft? Let's find out. Before I get into my top 10, I just want to name a couple honorable mentions that just missed the list. Those are Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers at 11, Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee at 12, and what may seem like a shock, Cam Skadaboo out of Arizona State is number 13. With that being said, let's get right into this top 10 list where I have Oklahoma State running back Ollie Gordon kicking us off. He was a projected first round, if not early second round pick going into the season, but after a disappointing year, his stock has fallen significantly. A lot of people are confused as to why Gordon didn't stay for another year, as he had a huge dip in production from 2023 to 2024. In terms of traits, his size does not reflect his physicality, as that's a little underwhelming. His vision behind the line of scrimmage is mediocre, he tends to be overpatient, he runs with a high pad level, along with other negative traits in his game. But there are a good chunk of positives as well. First off, he comes out with some great vitals. He's got NFL size at 6'1", 233 pounds, his injury history is good, and his production in the past has shown he's a workhorse running back. I mean, he averaged over 24 carries a game in 2023. Afterward, he's got some very good change of direction skills in the open field, his vision in the open field is very nice, and he is a gritty back, always fighting for extra yardage. Overall, Gordon is an intimidating back who has some questionable traits when he has the ball, but the positives are definitely there. I have him graded out as a late third round pick, and he would have been my number 6 running back last year. I'm going to say that a lot today because this RB class is a lot better than last year's. But let's move on to number 9 on this list with a guy that I am very high on, an Oregon running back, Jordan James. I was also very high on another Oregon running back last year, but I'm still surprised that this guy has a consensus tag around the 200 range. Because I don't see him as a 6th or 7th round pick because of his explosiveness and agility combo that should translate over, at least in my eyes. He has very good vision behind the line and in the open field, his patience is very good as well, and he was a workhorse with Oregon this past year. But what may be his best trait is his ball security, as on 386 career rushes, James finished his 3-year career with 0 lost fumbles. That is phenomenal. But on the flip side of things, his physicality is pretty mediocre. His contact balance is fine, but he's barely using his sheer physicality to break these tackles. He also has a very nice athletic profile, but he does not have the impactful deep speed teams want to see. He also really struggles with pass blocking, and he has a career drop rate of 14.3%. I think his receiving value could improve, but overall, James pans out as a high floor running back for the next level. Just like Gordon, I gave James a late third round tag, which is more like a number 2 option in the backfield. Going to a guy I am higher on, to a guy that I am lower on, as I talk about Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins. It is not that bold to say his teammate in the backfield is better than him as a prospect, but it is bold to put him this low, and here is why. I think the biggest reason for me being lower on him is his receiving value. He's a mediocre route runner with below average hands, and his blocking technique is inconsistent, although his play strength does help him win reps at times. He also has iffy vision behind the line of scrimmage, and makes most of his big plays from bouncing off tackles. His deep speed is also mediocre overall, which could make him a role-specific running back. But as I just said, he makes a ton of big plays from bouncing off tackles. He broke 153 tackles in his 2 seasons with Ole Miss, which is phenomenal. Even better than that is his short burst, as wow does he shoot out once he finds his hole or his cut. On top of these, Judkins has top-notch play strength that is present on tape. He had 0 fumbles on 271 rushes in 2023, and his agility is pretty dang good as well. Judkins pans out as just my number 8 running back, but I do think he has NFL workhorse upside. That's only if he can work on some things, as for now, he receives a late 3rd round tag. I promise this is my last late 3rd rounder, but I have a stock riser whose stock still isn't high as I have him. Syracuse running back LaQuint Allen Jr. I still have my concerns with Allen, just like I did with Tyrone Tracy last year, but after watching Tracy this year, those concerns aren't as crucial. Positively, Allen is a pure dual threat running back. His receiving value is phenomenal, and his route running out of the backfield is probably the best of anyone. On the rushing side of things, his agility is fantastic with some great range made up on his cuts. His ball security is comfortable with 4 career fumbles, and he played as a workhorse back on top of getting a ton of targets in the receiving game. But as I said before, I have my concerns. First off, his explosiveness is extremely underwhelming and really holds back his athletic profile. His deep speed also holds this back, as I feel like a dual threat guy should have these traits. He's a tad undersized, his play strength is mediocre, and overall I just have my translation concerns. But it's really hard to deny his receiving value to the point where he could have more targets than he has rushes in the early points in his career. As I previously said, Allen has a late 3rd round tag to his name. You know, nearly half of this list is Big Ten running backs, and I have another one to talk about here with Iowa's Caleb Johnson. I think I am a little low on him in terms of consensus big board spot, but RB6 for the consensus RB5 is not bad at all. But I am a little lower on him for these reasons. Johnson is a straight line back with minimal elusiveness, and even then his cuts are not fully lateral. He struggles to break tackles at times due to his upright pad level as well. Some interesting note I took is that Johnson has the speed to get 30 yards upfield, but he tends to get anywhere past that. Just overall, his athletic profile isn't the best. Positively though, he does have impressive contact balance when it's there. His explosiveness and gap execution help him with that, as he also gets to his acceleration super fast. He's got the play strength to churn forward for a couple yards. He plays with very good patience and vision behind the line. He does a great job cutting back on zone runs, and there's more to that too. Just because I'm lower on Johnson doesn't mean I think he doesn't have the potential to be a workhorse running back at the next level. But for now, I have him as a mid-3rd round grade, which pans him out as like a high-end number 2 option. Another Big Ten running back here as we get into the top 5, but Ohio State's Travion Henderson is the last one to discuss. Henderson is my favorite of the 2 Buckeyes, and that primarily comes from the fact that I think he will translate over better than his teammate. And I believe that because he has a consistent skill set when compared to his teammate. His athletic profile consists of very good agility, short burst, and viable long speed that Judkins just doesn't have. But outside of athleticism, Henderson has phenomenal vision behind the line of scrimmage, he's got some very good patience behind the line, and he fumbled once on 578 rushes in his collegiate career. On the other hand, his contact balance raises questions. He broke 130 tackles in 4 years, which is significantly less than Judkins was before they were even teammates. His creativity in the open field just isn't there, his lengthy injury history will bring forth questions to scouts, and he just hasn't proven too much that he's a workhorse back, so how will that translate over? I just personally really like this consistent skill set that I think will bring him NFL success. But for now, I have him as a mid-3rd round grade, which is that high-end RB2 as I discussed earlier. I have 2 straight big sleepers that I have high on my list. Are you ready for this? First off is UCF running back RJ Harvey. I think I have a love for undersized athletic running backs, and sometimes that comes back to bite me, but that love's not going away. Let's tune in Blake Watson last year. Yet, I can see why some rankings are lower on him because he is undersized, coming in at under 5'8" and 207 pounds, both under the prospect average and significantly in height. This makes me feel that he may be scheme specific at the next level, as he even had his limits at UCF. The ball security is also a concern, as while it improved in 2024, He had 5 fumbles on only 341 rushing attempts during his sophomore and junior years. But why I love him as a prospect is because we're talking about one of the most explosive running backs I have ever scouted. He runs with a full head of steam and his cuts are very, very good. Only thing holding back his athletic profile is he can't make up that much space on his cuts due to his size. His contact balance is also phenomenal, so is his patience, so is his workhorse ability, and overall Harvey is a prospect that I think has enough going great that we can just ignore how he's undersized. Unless he gives me a reason in the NFL, I don't see myself regretting putting him this high on my list. Harvey gets an early 3rd round grade and he could possibly be a top 20 running back after a couple seasons in the league. Entering into the top 3, the final sleeper to make my list this year is Kansas running back Devin Neal. I have been super high on Devin Neal for a couple years, and after his 3rd straight 1,000-yard rushing season, I'm even more confident now. He is one of 3 running backs on my list that would have been my RB1 last year. As with Neal, his athletic profile is just phenomenal. He's super explosive off the handoff, he's super agile with the ball, and he tops it off with above average deep speed. He's also super creative in the open field, and his receiving value is definitely there with good route running and average hands. It's just the blocking that struggles in that category. But then negatively, his play strength is just bad. He struggles to break tackles with it, and he has the blocking willingness, just not the strength to sustain it. He also has under average vision behind the line of scrimmage, and he definitely needs to bounce outside more. But other than that, it's hard to not like Devin Neal because of his great athletic profile and a few other traits sprinkled in there. He gets a late 2nd round grade, and his draft stock and draft profile, along with his potential rise, reminds me a lot of Bucky Irving last year. I think part of that is bias because I did have Bucky Irving as my number 2 running back, but that's outside the point. The consensus top 2 are my top 2, and as you can see, North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton is number 2 on this list. I will admit that I was hesitating to possibly give him a blue chip label, but instead I landed on an early 2nd round grade, which is just outside. There are some things that held me back from doing it. Those things, you might ask? Well, he doesn't have a fantastic athletic profile. His deep speed and explosiveness are both under average, and his agility just pans out as average. He will also get overly patient behind the line, and he has like a protective running style where he focuses more on ball security than actually exploding through a gap. But the positives are heavily there. His contact balance received an elite nod from me, breaking 139 tackles in the last 2 years. Despite the patience concern, he does have very good vision behind the line, and it definitely improved in 2024. He has the play strength to plow forward on short down situations. He is able to fit into tight gaps. He is a big play machine with a run of at least 15 yards once every 12.7 rushes, and he uses his good play strength to have blocking success. This guy just has so much to love that I hope is being shown in this cut-up. As I mentioned before, I almost gave Hampton a blue chip label, and his skill set is up there with Genty's. But he lands at an early 2nd round grade, and he does have the potential to crack the top 20 on my board. And to nobody's surprise whatsoever, the number 1 running back on my 2025 NFL Draft rankings is none other than Boise State's Ashton Genty. This guy is an absolute stud, and in my eyes, he is on Bijan Robinson levels in terms of where he will land on my big board. And are you not entertained? This guy is one of the most electric running backs in college football history. Genty has truly elite contact balance as he broke 82 tackles in 2023 and a whopping 151 in 2024. That's 49 better than the 2nd best. Genty also navigates through tight 8-man boxes extremely well. He is super explosive off the handoff and very creative in the open field, backing it up with good elusiveness. His vision is mostly fantastic, and he has shown the ability to throw defenders off of him. His frame is stout at 5'8", 217 pounds, and he always fights for extra yardage and mostly succeeds. Did you catch all of that? On the negative side, there isn't much. He will sometimes rely on physicality over patience behind the line of scrimmage. He has a super small route tree and doesn't have top-notch breakaway speed, and he's played Mountain West competition his entire career. That took like half the time it took me for the positives. Yes, Genty is up there with Bijan Robinson for the best running back that I have scouted over the past 3 years. He's the only running back to get the blue chip label, and as you can see, Genty is the number 1 running back in the 2025 NFL Draft. Wait, are you not subscribed yet? Well, do it now. I release content like this all the time and would really appreciate your support. I'm Chase Keller from Chase Keller Journalism, and I will see you all next time.